Hello, and welcome back to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. I am your host, as always, Josh Carr. And as you all know, this is the podcast where we chat to wonderful people in and around the world of Doctor Who about their experiences and their love for the show. And today is no different, and I have yet again a marvellous guest with me. How to sum up this man? How can I sum this up? The architect, the Purple Doctor, just so many ways that I can try. So many threads to pull on here, which is made me very excited for this episode. Of course, it is the one and only, the radical Dominic G. Martin. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me on. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is absolutely marvellous to have you here for a second time. Strangely, it's your second time on the podcast, but obviously this is a proper episode now. Not that the episode we did before wasn't proper, but you know, we get to chat all about you rather than try and make sense of Once Upon a Time, which is what we did last time.
It was a bit difficult.
It was tough because I'm pretty sure we only recorded it like the night. I watched it twice. I still have no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched it since, so I don't think I'll have a clearer idea either. So it's all okay. We don't need to have a headache today.
No headaches. Well, I mean, I've got a headache because I've got to try and assemble all of these amazing things that you've done, all of these cool fan projects and your YouTube and obviously Big Finish, which we'll get onto, into one neat little podcast. But I will endeavour and I will try my best to cram everything in. So let's get cracking. Let's start where I always start, at the very start. Doctor Who. How did you become a Doctor Who fan?
Well, my journey with Doctor Who really started when I was quite like most of people of like our generation. It kind of started with the revival primarily. However, my first exposure to Doctor Who was through UK Gold, and they were showing one of the parts of Trial of a Time Lord. And so one of my earliest Doctor Who memories is seeing Colin Baker do his Daleks, Sontaran, Cybermen speech. And that was essentially what very much intrigued me, because I remember vaguely looking to my mother and being like, let's watch that Doctor Who you like so much, because she was a fan previously. She loved the classic era. And I hadn't been able to see it. I've been brought up on a stable diet of Star Trek, which is my first sci-fi love.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who is just something I never had the opportunity to tap into. But of course, that was 2000, I think it was either 2004, early 2005, because then the show got revived very shortly after, and I was able to properly tune in, like, with full intrigue on, ready to see this new spellbinding show. And so unfortunately I missed Rose because I was on holiday, but I watched The End of the World, and that was really my introduction to Doctor Who as a full-on part of my life. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I was just like, I need to watch more of this. This is really good. And I mean, well, as far as like my 11-year-old brain was taking me at the time. But yeah, it was such a cool experience. And like seeing Chris Eccleston be the Doctor was inspiring in itself, because he just had this charisma, this mannerism about him that I hadn't really seen in many other characters aside from, say, Captain James T. Kirk or Jean-Luc Picard. And it really gave me those sorts of vibes, and I really loved it, and that drew me to the franchise. And then after that, the rest is really history. Just kind of my love grew from there. UK Gold, I went and watched the classic series on the omnibuses, which was really cool. Why don't they do them? They need to bring them back. And aside from that as well, went to my local library and binge watched their entire Classic Who DVD collection, because I was just I was full on addicted, proper hyperfixation as a youngin'. It was like, yeah, that was peak. That was super peak for my pre-teen years. And then, of course, as I became a teenager, kind of got more into the expanded universe side of things. And rest is history, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange start. I like it. I love because I mean, there's a million of us, people like me, who my first exposure to Doctor Who was Rose. There's millions of us, but I like the fact that you had that little tease, that little Colin Baker tease beforehand. And again, I'm surprised that more people, like, their first episode isn't something like The End of the World. Like that, a lot of people seem to tune in for Rose, which is weird.
Yeah.
And you'd think that maybe some people would tune in, and then word of mouth would spread across the playgrounds of the nation, and then everyone would be in for the next episode. But yeah, that's cool. So I mean, in terms of I also like to find out, because people always have favourite doctors, and they have sort of the doctors of their era. And I feel like some people sum it up differently when they say they're my doctor. Who is your doctor for you?
That's a very good question. But say, if I were to go for my overall the Doctor, it would probably be Tom Baker, because he was the Doctor that I've probably overall had the most exposure to, because it was a lot of his stories that I watched a lot when I was growing up, and when I was really fixating on the show. It was his era that I was consistently drawn to watch and rewatch adventures. But then you have the Doctors like David Tennant, who was a massive part of my life growing up as well. Really loved the 10th Doctor as a kid. And then, of course, you have Peter Capaldi, who was really my Doctor when I was more into adulthood. And that was the Doctor that I really, really loved. And, I mean, it's tricky to pin down a singular incarnation for me as the Doctor, because there is... I mean, everyone has their favourites, and I have my favourites, and it depends on the day, really. So, I mean, I love Tom, I love Colin, I love David, I love Peter, and as in, yeah, I can't answer if I have a definitive version of the Doctor.
It's a very hard question, and it's one that... It's a question that I hate. I don't really know why I've asked it, to be honest, because I can never answer it. I mean, I would always say that my default would probably be Chris as my Doctor. But then I think, well, I mean, my definitive years of being a Doctor Who fan was David Tennant. And then I think, but now I've rewatched all of the classics, and Pertwee, Baker, I can't, you know, it's incredible. McCoy. And then I'm like, but Capaldi is just, no one gets the Doctor like Capaldi. And it's just impossible. I can't pin it down. But that's interesting. I mean, let's move on to you specifically, and where you're, because like I said, there's so many threads to pull at. But I think the natural progression to go down would be probably two things that, from what I gather, sort of have a bit of synergy with each other, which would be the start of your YouTube channel, Who Chaser, and cosplay. Now, cosplay, were you always someone who was dressing up as doctors or trying to dress up as doctors growing up? Have you always been interested in that side of things, or is that something that you got into more later in life?
Well, I would say actually it was definitely something that had been with me for a long time. I had been really dressing up sort of like the Doctor before I even got into cosplay, because my mother made me a very long Tom Baker scarf back in around 2006, 2007, and I wore that nearly like every day in the summer. I would have worn it, no, winter. I was going to say, every day in the winter,
summer, you are going to boil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at retaining heat at the best of times, so maybe I needed it. But at the same time, I've been so into dressing up as the Doctor well before I properly got into cosplay as a hobby. As I said, scarf, wore it every day in winter. But the summer, I would have worn it then if my mother didn't stop me and try to convince me not to be insane. But no, I just loved it so much. And it was just one of those formulative things that really stuck with me. And then I went to Collectomania, which is a convention in Milton Keynes. And they had all sorts of like cosplayers there. And I was looking at them with awe, seeing these costumes and these people dressed up as the Doctor. Remember seeing people dressed up as the Master with the TARDIS. And it was crazy to me at such a young age, just being like, oh my God, they actually look so like them. They're wearing their clothes. I want their clothes. And lo and behold, that kind of sent me into a spiral of financial unwise decisions.
It's a costly game, cosplay, isn't it? It's probably it's personally, as I love cosplay and I love seeing cosplay. Cosplaying myself is not something that I am personally interested in, but I love watching it. I love seeing. I follow so many cosplayers on Instagram, and I do just think sometimes I'm like, it's good that I'm not into this because I would be bankrupt. So obviously it's something that so many people do, and it's I think it's quite cool that obviously since I've sort of joined the Doctor Who community, it's I don't know, I feel like you get it with all of geekhood and nerdy things that you're sort of told that the general consensus is that it's weird. But being in the Doctor Who community and seeing all of these people dressing up and seeing how cool it is, and how accepting everyone is and how excited everyone gets about cool cosplays, it's really, made me love it. So you started off on YouTube with, I believe, I did do some research. You started off with like cosplay tutorials, basically, like how to cosplay the 11th Doctor, and I believe you did some 12th Doctor ones as well. So I imagine you're probably not going to blow your own trumpet, but you've probably inspired a lot of other cosplayers out there with your tutorials, and you've probably, a lot of the people who are cosplaying now, I guarantee, would say that your videos or your cosplays have lent into that. That must be cool. That must be cool to think of, or do you not see it like that?
Well, the thing is, I didn't go into doing cosplay tutorials to really for any sense of self-validation or anything like that. And I wanted to simply put up a load of guides to be able to help people dress up as their favourite doctors and whatnot, because the thing that I discovered was that there was a lack of that sort of thing on YouTube at the time when it came to the doctors. There were tutorials for other characters and everything like that, but there wasn't too many in regards to the doctors. And I was well into piecing together loads of outfits for myself back then. But then I was like, maybe, I should share this information with people because they may not actually know. And the stuff that I've been able to find and stuff I've been able to get. And I think it would be pretty cool if people also found out about it, and if this information was made more mainstream and whatnot. And that's really what I wanted to strive towards doing. It was just a complete it was a completely big surprise when people actually started taking my advice to the extent that they have done. Which is been really, really heartwarming that people enjoy the tutorials and that they took them to heart and were able to piece together their own cosplays and stuff. It's always a delight to see someone be tagged in something and people being like, hey, I found this thanks to Dom. And I'm just like, oh, you don't need to thank me. But honestly, I just wanted to help people, honestly. Yeah. I know it's slightly conceited that might sound, but I really just... I didn't have any other reason to do it other than just make this stuff more mainstream, because I don't like the idea of people keeping secrets in something like that is essentially adult dress up. Yeah, I don't like that side of the culture much. So if there's any information that I try to come across, I try to spread it as much as I can. And I've kept that mantra all these years. I just think it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. And they're great videos. It's very satisfying to watch as well. I don't know if this is, again, a weird thing with me. Just watching the costumes slowly build up and like seeing the ways that you can piece it together, and you know, seeing like, oh, there's this part of the costume that is going to cost you an arm and a leg to get, so here's some affordable options. It's a great way of doing it, and obviously, like we said, it's an expensive game, and you know, if you can cut those costs and try and still keep it as accurate as possible, it's
exactly.
You can still get great results. I mean, you've done. I mean, we'll touch more on cosplay later, because we've definitely got some questions in a certain bloody Twitter section about it. But I wanted to also talk about some other stuff that you've done on your channel. One being fan audios, which is obviously something that I am beginning to dip my toe into.
Yes,
in terms of creating,
I know.
which is daunting. How did that side of things start for you? When was it a case that you'd always? Because I imagine that, like most Doctor Who fans, you'd written a million Doctor Who stories in your head, and you just had to get them down on paper. But where did that jump come to actually wanting to create it, and actually wanting to obviously take that sort of a Big Finish-esque route in terms of doing a fan audio?
Well, it was very much linked to my experiences on the DW 2012 fan film, which I assume we'll talk about later.
Yes,
but that really was my main inspiration, because the idea of being able to tell stories is just something that I've always loved. I've always written little scripts. I've always just told my own stories, some of which will never be seen by the public, and some of which that I'm trying to adapt into some fairly cool stuff. But yeah, with Remnants, my fan audio, it was a case of I want to do something kind of bougie. I want to do something kind of fancy. So I came with the idea of being like, you know what, Doctor Who stories that don't necessarily need the Doctor. And it was just a creative outlet for me, and a area to test my own skills in terms of writing, producing, and audio editing as well. It was a way to just get better at a load of things I'd really wanted to get into properly for quite some time, because I was aware of all the different fan audios that had already been made previously in the Doctor Who community, and there is a hell of a lot, all made by such talented, phenomenally good creators like Overton Audio's Uncharted Past as well, with Daniel Patton and Connor Chadwick, etc. Both like extremely productive people, and it's inspired me a lot into properly going into that foray, really, because I hadn't really dabbled in the audio format before. I'd recorded for audios before, like fan audios in the past, but I never really thought about creating my own. And then eventually I was just like, you know what, why not go for it? And the first series went quite well. There was a little bit of a hiccup. I wanted to reboot it and redo it, but I pulled it off somehow, and I'm really proud of everyone's contributions to it, and being able to just put oneself out there creatively is always quite tricky, but if you just push through, you can really do anything. And I like to think that everyone involved with Remnants enjoyed being part of it. At least I hope so. If you didn't enjoy it, I'm definitely sorry.
Well, I can't imagine there's many complaints, because I think, though I haven't listened to every episode yet, I've been working my way through. I've been dipping my toe in, doing an episode, and then I've sort of big gaps in between. But what I have listened to so far is astounding, the level of quality. It's astounding and inspiring, the level of quality. And it's just, like you said, the concept of it, like the fact that you said that you wanted to do something bougie. And it is, like, it's... I love I love fan audios, and I love the fact that in fan audios, anything can happen. You are not constrained by, you know, the BBC telling you what you can do, but you're not constrained by executives telling you what you can do. You're also not constrained by canon. You can just do whatever you want. And I love the fact that a lot of people take that and, like, I hate the term a fan wank sometimes. Because sometimes all I want to do is just listen to a batshit story where someone's put 17 doctors in it and 15 masters and a load of Daleks, and it's just chaos. And that is a really cool side of fan audios. But then also you get the other side, which is like Remnants, which is so unique, and it's something that we've never really seen in Doctor Who before, which is sort of this anthology series of different stories. It's a brilliant concept, and I'm surprised that it's not been done like before by the BBC, because I just think I think you've seen basically the potential of the universe and you've ran with it, and you've done something completely unique, and it's brilliant. And concept aside, it's bloody well made as well.
Thank you.
So I mean, because there's some, it leans a lot into. I mean, would you agree that you sort of leaned a little bit more into some of the horror elements of Doctor Who?
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking, especially Prosperity of the Cybermen, which is, that is grim. It's a grim story, but it's really well told, and it's also not just, you know, horror for the sake of horror. There's a lot of heart to it as well. But what kind of inspirations did you? Because obviously, with like an anthology series where you're not including the Doctor, I imagine it's actually quite hard to draw like tonal inspiration from Doctor Who, because a lot of it revolves around the Doctor. So where did you pull some of your other inspirations from?
So my inspirations really, I mean, I've been a horror fan for a lot of my life. I absolutely adore the genre. I like science fiction as well. Those two genres are really my thing. And I've always loved the anthology shows, the old anthology shows like, say, The Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits, or even modern ones like Inside Number 9. Those ones have always struck me because it's different story every episode, different cast, well, aside from Inside Number 9, but you can kind of get away with that because they're really cool. But a different like setting, different scenarios, all that sort of jazz. And that's really what is like the crux of it all, is just that variation from episode to episode, those different writing tones being written by such like different writers, and you can get a real feel for a writer's talent like that. And of course the plot twists, the ever famous plot twists, which are always the fun bits. No, it's that sort of thing that really inspired me to do something like that, because I just think they're really trying to describe it in a way that doesn't sound too pretentious, but it's the limit for potential. Well, there is no limit for potential. You can create anything you want, especially in an audio format. You're not limited by any sort of budget. You can honestly do anything, and it's that really inspires me. Like, there's certain limitations even if you feature the Doctor, there are certain limitations because you can't have every story like kill off the Doctor because then it would just get repetitive. But you can have your protagonist die in varying different ways. Some gorier, some more emotional than the next. And that's a really fun aspect of it. And, of course, it's not just about death. You can have stories of heart to it. Like The Last Brothers on Earth, I believe, that I really enjoyed writing because that one was very, very emotionally focused. I'm not sure if you listened to that one. I don't mind if you haven't. It's okay.
I haven't yet.
That's all right.
But I'm
I won't spoil it.
I like the tease.
Yeah, I won't spoil it. But it's a very, I like to say, heartfelt story that I wrote when I wanted to just get something out there that was showed a different side to what the series concept can give. And I'm very proud of it. My fellow actor in there, George Guidra, he did an astonishing performance, and he's a very talented guy. And I'm very blessed to have worked with all the talented people that I've worked with on this, and people who have written scripts for both Series 1 and Series 2 they're phenomenal. And sincerely, there's some fantastic stuff coming up, but ultimately, I'm just really, really happy that I've made this concept and just not given up on it, really, because it's very easy to lose motivation.
I can
but
imagine. I mean, like I said, I mean, I am sort of knee deep in a similar process at the moment, trying to create a fan audio series, as people who regularly listen will have heard, and like I said, sometimes, as you said, it can just be an overwhelming and scary and draining experience, but it's really fun. And if I'm honest, seeing yourself and other people who've created their fan audios and gotten them to such a high standard and such a high level with no budget and not really any like professional experience, like the fact that people can do this based purely on talent and determination. Like I said, it really inspires me, and it really does push me on in terms of trying to get it sorted.
It will do.
Yeah, it's great. And another part of Remnants as well that I just wanted to touch on is the architect. A great character, a great concept, because wonderfully played by you as well.
Thank you.
It's a character with, again, a lot of potential in the universe. It's the kind of character that you could see popping up in the show, like that kind. Not necessarily the architect, but that kind of character. I could see them going that route in the future, and when did Remnants come out? Because I'm intrigued.
Last year. It was before What If.
Yes, I was going to say, because it's got that sort of. I haven't seen all of What If either, but it's got that similar sort of feel to it. But you beat to it. You beat Marvel to the. You beat Marvel to it. Yeah,
it was funnily enough. Yeah, I kind of accidentally beat them to the punch in terms of visualizing. I mean, obviously the Watcher had existed in the comics beforehand, but I hadn't read the comics. But I really just love the idea of a character, not necessarily the Doctor, but someone who's an overseer, someone who thinks they know everything, someone who just can gaze at all the stories of the world and be like, haha, I will tell you them because I have nothing better to do and I think you'll enjoy them. And it's just, he's a lot of fun to play. He's a lot of fun to play because it means I can go absolutely full on camp and mental and can actually have no repercussions. But also, as well as that, he's a character that has a lot of hidden depths to him that I'm going to explore in not just Remnants 2, but also another project that I'm working on. Obviously, he's appearing in Dark Days by Rassilon Productions, but he's also appearing in a series that I'm also creating alongside Remnants 2. So more on that in the future.
Wonderful. That's a lovely tease. And obviously, you've mentioned there, Remnants is coming back for a second series, which is very exciting. Where are you with that at the moment? I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just
no.
I'm just intrigued.
I get it.
I'm intrigued as to where you're at with series 2.
Well, series 2, it's taken a bit longer to create because I'm now having to balance it with my work at Big Finish. So I don't get quite as much time as I did when it came to working on series 1. Because naturally I'm not just producing fan content, I'm producing official content as well. So obviously the distinction has to be made. And obviously the work comes first. But it's always on the forefront that I can push it to. I would say the new project that I'm working on will be out before Remnants 2, because it will be leading into Remnants 2. But I'm hoping for Remnants 2 to be out by the end of the year. I've already had some scripts in for it that are absolutely wonderful stuff, written by some people who I will announce in due course, but excellent talents so far. But no, it's been a brilliant ride. Actually, speaking of which, I think those talents, aforementioned talents, are ones that you're familiar with, that you've announced. So some of which, I think there's a bit of a link over.
Who knows? There may be some peculiar links there. Who knows?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. So,
but no, it's all good.
Very, very excited. Very excited to see Remnants. And I said, fan audios are marvellous. Another fan project that you are very closely linked with is I'm going to have to be completely honest here, and people who listen to the podcast regularly again will know that sometimes things just pass me by, and I just have. I wish that I knew them earlier, but I didn't. And Dynamic Works 2012, that just flew past me. I'm not going to lie to you. So, I have now started sort of exploring the world a little bit more, and I've seen drips and drabs, but I've actually wanted to go back and start at the very beginning and try and binge it all the way through. You are, of course, now playing another marvellous character, the Doctor, in Series 5, I believe it is. Series 5?
Series 5.
Yes, Series 5, and it's a fan film, so obviously it's very different to fan audios, because you're there, you're getting filmed for it as well as
it's all physical.
And obviously you are the Purple Doctor, as you are very affectionately known. What's that been like? Because I know that, am I right in saying a lot of it has been, a lot of Series 5 has been filmed? And
yes.
So
you would be correct in saying that. But we've been.
I believe it's been delayed a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, thanks to the state of the world, shall we say?
Yes.
We were aiming to get it out for 2019, 2020. But then a little thing called the Pandee hit, and we weren't able to get there whatsoever. So it was a real shame that we've been working on this project for the best part of it. Well, I've in terms of my Purple Doctor tenure so far, I've been working on the show for about nearly 5 years. And it's been a massively long part of my life, and we've just been working solidly as best as that we can to have been able to create this series and for everyone to hopefully enjoy. I mean, it's so surreal thinking that I've been working on it for 4 or 5 years, but we haven't really been able to get that much content out because of, what happens has happened, which is massive shame, but unavoidable, completely unavoidable, unfortunately. Yeah. But there's the thing that it did give us a chance to be able to take a step back and review our plans and improve them, because we had time. We had time to just keep on enhancing everything. So now, when it does eventually come out, which will be soon, we will be able to put it to the best it can be.
Yeah, I mean, like I watched recently actually the Regeneration. Obviously your first scene as the Purple Doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it said that came out before Jodie's first series. which is
Yeah.
So I think it was 28. I think it was like around about October 2018. I believe that came out.
Yeah, I think it was September
September,
2018.
yeah. So that is insane. That is like, and obviously Series 5 is your first full series. Is that right? So
correct. Yeah.
That is crazy. That gap must be mad.
I know.
But again, I must say, I think, like you said, you get to spend more time on it. And that trailer that came out for Series 5 looks amazing. Everyone went wild for it on Twitter. I remember it was like, the hype on Twitter was like a genuine Doctor Who, like obviously like an official trailer for the show dropping. It was amazing. Everyone was like, this looks so cool. The effects are amazing. The cast is just stacked. And I mean, one shot in particular that I'm sure must get brought up to you a lot is that bit where you like whip off the... Is it a cape or is it a jacket? But
it's a jacket. It's a jacket. But I
mean,
wear it as a cape.
You wear it as a cape.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That bit is one of the coolest shots I've ever seen put to film. You look so cool. And if I had a shot like that, I would just show that I would wear a little screen on my chest, like a Teletubby, and I would show that to everyone that I knew. And just say, this is how cool I am. I love
Honestly,
this.
do my best.
I can whip off a jacket like that.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, the costume, like, I designed that a few years ago, but I love that costume. It is the costume that I would wear if I was ever playing the Doctor, and I decided, you know what, I'm playing the Doctor now, so I might as well bring it to film. And it's really cool. It's inspired a lot by Kilgrave from Jessica Jones, but also the reason why I wear it as a cape is because I'm a massive fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And in Yu-Gi-Oh!, the protagonist, Yugi Moto, when he's transformed into Yamayuki, who is a 5,000-year-old Egyptian pharaoh, he he wears
straight
it
over my head.
yeah. Exactly. It's one of the best animes ever made, but one of the most meme-worthy animes. But he wears his jacket as a cape, and it just looks so cool. So I was like, can I make this work in live action? And I was so determined to make it work, and somehow I don't think it works too badly. And it's just something that it feels cool. I mean, it's fairly impractical to actually wear. Like a lot of costuming things are, but as long as it looks cool on screen, I don't really care how it feels.
It definitely does. It definitely looks cool. So, I mean, obviously, very, very exciting. And the purple Doctor as well. Purple is a colour that seems to be intrinsically linked with you now. And I imagine for most people in the Doctor Who Twitter community, if you say the word purple, they'll probably think of you because of all of this cool purple Doctor aesthetic that you've got.
Yeah.
I mean, is it your favourite colour? I feel like I have to ask: is purple your favourite? Because imagine if it's not, and imagine if you hate the colour purple, and now you've just lumbered yourself with it forever.
Nah, mate, it's turquoise. No, only kidding. Nah, it's my favourite. It's my favourite. I love purple. It's such a regal colour to me. And I always loved wearing purple stuff as a kid. And I just never stopped loving the colour. I mean, I just think it's so warm. It's just looks cool in almost anything. And it's difficult to describe why one likes a particular colour.
It is. I mean, we only ask the critical and important questions here on Who Knew, such as, is purple your favourite colour? That might be a contender for one of the worst questions I've ever asked, but it's good to get the clarification that purple, one of the best, definitely. Now we'll be taking a short break soon, but I feel like now let's get into it, because I'm very, very excited to talk to you in particular about Big Finish, because I mean it's very, very, very cool to see that someone who has created so much fan content over the years, like everything that we've talked about, obviously on your own channel and all the other things that you've been a part of. And now you are, as you said before, creating official content for Big Finish. You are producing audios that aren't fan audios. They are now canon. I mean, some people say Big Finish isn't canon. Everything's canon. Canon doesn't exist.
Yes.
Canon is what you make it. And to me, everything is canon. So Big Finish, how did that come about? Because it must be, I mean, I'm just thinking from my point of view, if I think it's a lot of people's have aspirations to work on the show or work in Big Finish or work in a professional capacity in terms of Doctor Who at some point. How did it come about for you, and what was it like to be approached to be part of Big Finish?
Well, I've got to say, it's one of easily the most freakish streaks of luck that I've ever had in my entire life. I still pinch myself every day that I get to work for that company, and it's something that I never take for granted, because it's just, I still can't quite get to grasp that I'm actually in the position that I am, working with people who I've idolized for years and have enjoyed the content of for many years, and all of a sudden I'm able to speak to them as colleagues. It's something that is quite remarkable. Obviously, after a bit of time, you get used to it. But then there's a little part of your brain that's just like, hang on, I'm making Doctor Who for a living. Has this come about then? What's happening now? And I'm just like, it's absolutely surreal that it happened. I mean, how it happened, I essentially got asked by the head producer, David Richardson, if I'd be interested in, like, because submitting any writing stuff for just to be examined. And so I did so, and somehow I ended up becoming an assistant producer on Peladon. The pipeline of events is something I never expected, but it's something that I'm very grateful for. And after that, obviously I ended up working on my own story, one of the interludes, and then I'm now producer of the Companion Chronicles, which has been an incredibly rewarding journey. It's been bizarre, man, but absolutely astonishing at the same time. I wish I could say more about what I'm actually doing, but it's very limited that what I can actually say without a sniper being trained on me. Actually.
So, I mean, we'll focus more for now on what is out. So, I mean, Peladon. I'm ashamed of myself that I haven't listened to it yet. It's on my list, and I really want to listen to it. I will get there. I've got so much Big Finish to listen to. This is the thing. And they just pump out so much. It's just every time, for every one that I listen to, like 17 get released, and I'm constantly drowning in Big Finish. But it sounds like such an exciting concept, because I feel like every time someone mentions a sequel to a Doctor Who story, everyone always mentions Peladon, and everyone says, how cool would it be to get a Peladon story now? We've had 2 back in the 70s in sort of like the context of us joining the EU, and now in this modern political landscape, getting that kind of story now must be so exciting. So who was the producer on that? If you don't mind me asking.
On Peladon. So that was David Richardson. So
David Richardson, right?
Yeah.
So
very lovely bloke.
Yeah, so I imagine as an as an assistant producer, you were. So what was the process like working on that? Was it a case of like what is sort of your role as an assistant producer? Is it helping to sort of curate the story? Is it helping to sort of make these scripts alive? What kind of thing is your sort of your day to day?
Well, when it was my time on as an assistant producer, what I did was it was essentially a trainee role. So I was learning everything. I was watching it all happen in front of me, and taking notes on what was going on. So I learned how to, I mean, the administration stuff, really. I learned on how to do actual official contracting and stuff like that. And I was able to sit in the recordings of every story and essentially, like, hear the process, hear how the recordings are done and how they usually take place. And I was able to guide some of the interviews on the Peloton box set. So I got to speak to the cast, like, and ask questions to people like Alex Kingston and good old Colin. And it
what
was
a cast! It's, I mean,
Yeah.
for your first time on Big Finish, that is a mega cast. So you've got Alex Kingston, Colin Baker, David Troughton as well.
David Troughton as well.
That's an amazing cast.
Yeah, Paul McGann. Yeah, it was.
That's mad. That is mad. That must have been, like you said, a wonderfully surreal experience. But it's cool that that's your job now. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really really cool.
I never take it for granted. Always biting my, but I was pinching myself, just making sure this isn't some sort of dream. Because if it was a dream, it'd be very cruel. Because that's about a good year of my life at this point.
I hope it's not a dream, because that would mean this is a dream, and hope I
that
exist.
means God.
Am I going to have an existential crisis right here?
Inception time.
Yes, and here's a segue. Speaking of existential crises, let's talk about iChameleon, because I think it's fitting. Is that?
That's a good link.
Tenuous, good link. Yeah,
that's a damn good link.
iChameleon. So obviously your first writing credit for Big Finish, which is, like you said, an interlude. So I believe this is how it works, because I know that obviously there's been a lot of changes in terms of formats and structure at Big Finish at the minute in terms of their releases. So it's basically an hour-long audiobook type story that sits inside sort of your standard box set. Is the way that it works, which is a really nice idea, and it's a nice little bonus to get in your box set as well. And I have listened to iChameleon, and he's really good. It's really really good. I loved it, because I think the best thing about it, and obviously I don't want to cause any offence here, but let's, in terms of the fan mindset, Chameleon is not a character that many people get very excited about.
No,
and he's not a character that gets a lot of love, unfortunately.
Absolutely not.
And
I really went on an uphill battle there.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet that took some convincing. But I think it's like on the face of it, someone would pitch to you, it's an hour-long audiobook about Chameleon. It's like, right, what? But listening to it, I think it does absolute wonders for Chameleon as a character. And I think it's such a beautiful exploration of such a weird concept that I don't think they tapped into enough in the show when Chameleon was there. And obviously I feel like they didn't really know what to do with him. I think that's a fair statement to make.
Yeah, I think it's fair. But as well as that, nearly everybody connected with Chameleon died not too long after his inception, which was honestly still a conspiracy theory that some people may have.
Right.
I find the whole thing quite scary.
I don't know if I've heard this.
Yeah,
the fact that, what, people linked to Chameleon died? What?
Yeah, so like the organizer, so he was originally introduced in the King's Demons, but the person who operated him died very shortly after it was introduced, I believe.
Right.
And then they were left without being able to do much with Chameleon throughout his entire tenure until Planet of Fire. It was definitely look into it, because it's there is a whole Chameleon curse. It's a story. Wow. It's something that's properly out there. So if I mysteriously go off the grid, you'll know why.
God, no, I really hope that you aren't the next person to
Oh no,
to be
absolutely
taken.
not. And
I hope not.
It's me and John Coleshaw. We have to be protected.
Yes, you've got bodyguards at all times. Just paramedics on standby in case anything
just
happens.
In case.
But I mean, it's such, like you said. So you said it was an uphill battle. What were whoever? I imagine it may have been David Richardson again that you pitched it to.
I'm telling you, the staff were absolutely fine. They were actually perfectly okay with it. I mean,
that sort of checks out, really. Actually, I mean, when you look at Big Finish's content that they push out, you sort of get the idea these guys don't mind a bit of weird. So that's
absolutely
good. That's good.
They were very encouraging, and I was working with John Dorney on it, and he is absolutely a diamond who's been such a fantastic help for me through the entire process. And he helped me with a few ideas, helped me develop a few aspects, and honestly, it wouldn't be anywhere as good if it wasn't for him just helping me through it. So it's been a really, really cool ride and a very good learning experience for me as well.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. And I mean, the uphill battle is more in a case of trying not to get killed by the fans, really, because Chameleon has such a poor reputation. I mean, I know that. I mean, when it came out, somebody was already trying to attack me about it, and I was just like,
I saw.
It is what it is.
I mean, come on, like, I mean, one, it's a great audio and it's a great listen, and like I said, I think it does wonders for the character, and it's the first time I've actually really felt anything about Chameleon as a character, if I'm honest with you.
I mean, that's fair.
I think from the TV stories, there wasn't a lot there for me, and I really got this sense of obviously the sort of internal struggle and like that existential crisis, like we said, and the way that you play it. I won't spoil anything because I said please go and listen to it. Obviously, it's part of the First Doctor Adventures 40, I believe it's called.
Fifth Doctor Adventures 40.
Yeah, Fifth Doctor. Sorry, did I say fourth? It's the 40 and the fours. I got confused with the fours.
It's okay.
Anyway, Fifth Doctor Adventures 40. It's really well done. But obviously, someone attacking you for that, like, come on, man.
It happens. The thing is with the Doctor Who fandom, that's sometimes you'll just encounter a bit of a bad person, shall I say? I won't swear on your show.
You can swear.
And
sometimes you'll encounter a bit of an arsehole.
Just encounter the occasional dickhead who decides to attack you for no real reason just their own self-gratification, really. And exactly. It happens, and the things you just got to brush yourself down, move on, because ultimately, in a week or two, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. And from what I saw on Twitter, other than that tit, it was very well received.
Yeah. People have been absolutely incredibly kind to me about it, and I'm so very thankful. I'm thankful to anyone who really took the time to listen to it, whether they liked it or didn't. It's just the fact that they listened to something of mine is just still surreal, really. On an official basis, like not a fan audio or a fan film, but this is like official Doctor Who stuff that has come out with my name attached, and I don't think that novelty will ever get old.
No,
I'm just forever grateful.
That's lovely. And also, I just want to say, back to what you said at the start, you called yourself, you said it was a lot of luck. I don't think that is the case at all. It is talent. That is why you are working for Big Finish. And I think everyone who's listened to this would agree, because of all of the things that we were talking about before that are absolutely marvellous. We're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, you know what's coming. It's the DVD collection. Hello, and welcome back to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. I am still your host, Josh Carr, and I'm still here with Dominic G. Martin, of course. And you know what's coming. You all know what's coming now. It's what always comes straight after the break. It is that sturdy, reliable shelf. And we're going to see what Dom wants to put in the DVD collection.
By the power of Grayskull.
The Unicorn and the Wasp or Love and Monsters?
Which one do you think I'll prefer?
No, I mean, which one do you want to watch first?
You are pulling my leg.
So, the DVD collection, of course, is it's a collection of quintessential Doctor Who episodes submitted by my wonderful guests. So we've got some great episodes in there so far. As me and Don were discussing before we recorded, there's a lot that are already taken.
Yeah.
And so far in series 4, we are 2 for 2 with Cyberman stories, which is very interesting. We've had Revenge of the Cybermen and Earthshock. Are we going to go for 3? Who knows? And is one of the Doctors, I can't remember which ones, are they going to be the first to have a 5th story in the DVD collection? A pinnacle, the top dog. Let's find out. Dom, what story would you like to submit to the DVD collection?
The story I've chosen is one that I'm actually really surprised isn't on the list, or at least, well, until now, because its reputation in fandom is pretty immense, I'd say, personally. So, without further ado, the story that I wish to submit to your fine DVD collection is The Caves of Zarni.
Oh, get in. That is a pick and a half. Let's analyse. Caves of Zarni. I'm excited for this one, if you can't tell. Caves of Zarni, let's be honest, is probably regarded as... I mean, it's probably 90% of Doctor Who fans' top 10, surely.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe
easily,
80,
yeah. In my opinion, the best regeneration story.
Right. That's bold. Is
I know.
it bold? No, maybe it's not bold, because I mean it is widely regarded as the best Doctor Who story of all time, or one of, as we said. So best regeneration story probably isn't that much of a push. I'd be close to agreeing with you. I think I would. I think it's up there with, for me, Bad Wolf Parting the Ways. Very good.
Oh,
very good.
That's very
And what are the good regeneration stories are there? Are there
I
any
mean, yeah, I
War Games
really...
is quite good.
Yeah, War Games is quite good. I do love the 10th Planet.
Yeah, 10th Planet. For me, it wouldn't go to that level.
That's fair.
I don't think there's that many great regeneration stories. I'm sort of
kind
just
of funny
finding
when
this out
yeah.
now. Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think I like them all a bit. But this, it takes the biscuit for me. It is great. So, I mean, obviously, you're the one who submitted it. I've just gone on rambling. You're the one who's chosen it. Why? Why have you chosen it? And what is it that's drawn you to this classic.
Because it's honestly one of the absolute best ways for a Doctor to go out of the show. It is a phenomenally heroic story at its core. The Doctor brings his new companion, who he hasn't met for that long really, and instantly gets her into danger, life-threatening danger, and he spends all the entire time trying to get her out of that danger, despite dying himself as well. But his main priority is saving Perry. And it is the Fifth Doctor at his the Doctor in general, at his most selfless, because he's just seriously sacrificing his life for someone he's just met. And that, I believe, is like a full-on emotional crux of the story. Yes, I know that Big Finish have done a lot of Fifth Doctor and Perry stories, but still in the grand scheme of things, they won't have known each other for very long. They're still fairly recent acquaintances. And if you view it in the lens of it taking place not terribly long after Planet of Fire, it really has a lot of emotional impact in that regard, because this just shows the core of the Doctor's character. He will not let anyone die on his regard if he can help it, and this was him trying his very best to help it. As well as that, there was a lot of fantastic world building with the Andrew Zarni Major and Minor as well. Some truly atrocious characters involved, and I mean atrocious in the fact they're diabolical, not that they're poorly written. They're actually really well written. And of course it was directed by Graham Harper as well, who came back for the new series, who was absolutely phenomenal, did some phenomenal work on this story. It's one of those combinations of everything just being great, being fantastic. Lightning strikes in the right place. Peter Davison was just on extremely fine form. It's probably some of his, if not his best work as the Doctor, in my opinion. It's so much about the story that I love, and of course Nicola Bryant is Perry. I love Perry. She's amazing, and this was her at her This is very much one of her strongest displays of acting so early on. And of course, I think she was brilliant with Colin, but this was just like really a good start, a good show into that character. And yeah, it's a lot about that story that is just so definitively Doctor Who, but it's also very stressful as well to watch, because you can't quite, I mean, when you view it for the first time, it's nearly impossible to predict what's going to happen. Obviously on rewatch as well, it still gets you tense, still feels intense. The cliffhanger to part 3 is one of the most best cliffhangers put to film. It is. You know,
it's great. It's perfect. It's really, just really good.
So intense, and I love it. So yeah, and for a story about the Doctor's death, phenomenal. It's just everything, and it has that aspect to it which some of the later regeneration stories kind of miss, the sort of urgency. I like it when the Doctor's death is as a result of saving people, yeah, but I like it when it's quicker, not too drawn out or whatnot, because there's ultimately, he's gonna die, and I like the fact that he's quickly having to make peace with everything before he eventually goes. And the little regeneration sequence at the end, with all the cameos coming back, and even the Master, even Chameleon. It was really so, it gives you chills. And that's why I love it. Yeah. I would say it's as close to perfect as a Doctor Who story can get, for me personally.
Yeah, it is absolutely marvellous. And I mean, I feel like we have to touch on Sharaz Jack, who is one of the ultimate one-off villains.
Yeah.
Me. Just, I think, up there with, I think my favourite has always, one of my favourites has always been Harry Lloyd, as son of mine in Human Nature, Family of Blood. Yeah. Very good performance, but Sharaz Jack is great, and very nearly. I love one of my favourite bits of Doctor Who trivia is that was nearly David Bowie. Yeah,
I love that. That could have been. I wouldn't say it's a missed opportunity, because the showers Jeffrey got is still magnificent. But you can't help but wonder what David would have brought to the role. It would have been interesting. Very interesting. Very crazy.
I'd love to see that parallel world where that happened. I mean, what more can you say about Caves of Androzani, really? I think you've summed it up beautifully. It's one of the best episodes. It's my favourite Fifth Doctor story by probably quite some distance. It's one of the best stories of the 80s. It's one of the best stories of classic Who. It's one of the best stories of all of Who.
Yeah.
And
simple as that.
Yeah, it's simple as that. So great pick. I mean, like I said, I can't argue with it. And I don't think there's going to be many people at home arguing with it either. If you do disagree, first of all, let us know. And then just leave, because you're obviously wrong. I'm joking.
It's fair.
All entitled to your opinions.
Oh, yes, of course.
You're all entitled to your opinions. And I'm entitled to completely disagree with you, because Caves
exactly
is a belter.
Absolutely.
That was the DVD collection. A great pick. I love it. I can't get over it. One of those episodes where I knew it was going to get in at some point, and I'm excited for that.
And eventually it did.
The obscure picks. It did. I love the obscure picks. Like Matt last week. Obviously, he had a toss up between Pyramids of Mars, which is obviously another one of those that I'm expecting to see on here at some point. But he went for the obscure one, which I like. But you got to get the classics in as well. You got to get the classics.
Absolutely.
Were there any other stories that were close, or were there any stories that were already in there that you would have put in?
The thing is, there was a lot of stories that was already involved in the list that I would have gone for. Like Heaven Sent for one, which I really love. I guess was City of Death on the list already?
Not yet.
No, that's another one I would have considering,
because that is another one. I don't think it is. Oh, I should remember this, but he's getting a long list now. This is the thing.
Yeah.
We're now nearly 30 episodes deep, and there's been a couple of doubles, like in specials, where a couple have gone in, and I can't keep up with it. So I'm struggling now to remember all of them on the list. There was a time when it was just 10 episodes, and it was all up here. But
it's getting a bit difficult now.
I made like a little graphic a while ago on Twitter, which you can hunt out if you so wish, which had a big list in chronological order of when the episodes were released, not when they were added. And it's quite the marathon. If anyone wanted to take it on, it's got some highs and lows, is what I'll say. Because of some of the stranger choices in there, which we won't go into now. Davis and the Caretaker, that was aimed at you. Strange one. Believe me, we chatted. It was fun, but he knows how strange it was. He agrees.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's go and have a little look at that wretched dumpster fire of a website. That wretched hive of scum and villainy that is bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
So, bloody Twitter.
Yes.
We've got some questions. And I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to read them off my phone because my eyesight is dreadful and I cannot read
tell me about it.
my laptop screen. So let's get them up on here. We got a stack of these, so we might have to speed run a few because there is a lot to get through and there are some great questions. Jimmy Wolf at Captain Jimmy Pie. Obviously, a lot of people know. Great YouTuber.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy. He asks, do you have any specific goals or ideas that you hope to pursue with Big Finish one day, such as story ideas or working with specific characters, actors, that type of thing? So, obviously, I know there's going to be a lot that you can't reveal, which is fine. But is there anything in particular? that you feel that you can speak about that you'd love to do at some point?
The thing is, with a question like that, that's immediately going to cast expectation upon somebody. And I think it is, for the sake of my own future professional career, I am going to have to say the answer is yes, there are indeed things I would like to involve myself in. There are indeed ideas that I have. There are indeed things I would like to work towards. There are indeed goals I wish to aspire towards. The answer is yes.
Yes.
I will not. I will
answer.
not go further into that.
You have avoided that like the plague, and it's beautifully done. That was a politically adept answer. Very, very well done.
I just don't want to get in trouble, man.
Yeah, of course you don't. Of course you don't. You don't want David and Nick Briggs coming knocking at your door.
Oh, please, no. Sniper.
So we'll move on to the next question. This is something I'm not gonna lie, I've included this in because it's also a very subtle plug for myself. Ask him how amazing the Comic-Con panel he was on was. I hear the host was very cool. That was from Jack Reeves from the Community Show.
Jack
Reeves. He was obviously
Reeves.
the host himself there. Not messing around with his words about himself. And he is very cool.
Oh, of course. He is a cool guy. Oh, that panel was fun. That was a lot of fun. But I am still a bit sore over the fact that I cost myself the win at the quiz because it was something I couldn't remember. I believe it was one of Phil's videos. I couldn't remember who did the voiceover for something. And if I got that right, I would have won. And I'm still very annoyed about that. Got no one but myself to blame. But apart from that, it was very good.
Yes. And I mean, I am now going to face that quiz myself.
Oh yes, you're going to have to be.
I am going to be on the next community show panel.
Yes.
At MCM London Comic Con in May. So if you are there, please come and watch and please come and say hello. That goes to everybody at home. I'm very nervous. And I'm going to get absolutely rinsed in the quiz. I know I am. I'm going to get absolutely
Josh, don't
battered.
worry. You, just do a little bit of research before you go on, which I sadly failed to do, and you'll be fine.
My only hope is that I know that I'm going on with Jude. And
love Jude.
We love Jude. And me and Jude did Quiz of Rassilon together at the BFI, and we absolutely tanked. We were a little bit tipsy, and we were pretty dreadful.
To be fair, though, the Quiz of Rassilon is exceptionally difficult.
It
is a difficult Doctor Who. It's a difficult Doctor Who quiz.
It's too hard. Help! This is just too I'm not slagging off Quiz of Rassilon. I love Quiz of Rassilon. It was great fun.
Oh, same, yeah. I love Quiz of Rassilon.
But as someone who is completely inept and just not very good when it comes to insanely obscure Doctor Who knowledge, I just could not. I was way out of my depth. Depth. That is for the hardcores.
No, absolutely. But what I do love about the Quiz of Rassilon is, if you flip it around, it's an excellent opportunity to learn obscure trivia. You'll discover facts that you'll never know that you never really knew before. Yes. And that's one of the best parts about it. Even if you absolutely flummox at it, it is still a learning experience, and that's what I love about it personally. But I do like simpler quizzes to actually partake in.
And then, if you're anything like me, you will learn all of those facts, and you will forget them all immediately, which is me. That's me. I'm just very forgetful. But yes,
that's very
excited. I'm very excited to see anybody who listens at Comic-Con. It'll be lovely. I'll probably bring some Who Knew badges along, so come and say hello, and I'll dish some out, and I can try and plug this little show as well. Anyway, next question, because again we've got some brilliant ones. Ben at Real Enthusiast, very dear friend of the show,
Hey, Ben.
Hello, Ben, and also a writer on my fan audio series.
Marvellous.
Yes. So he has asked this. He said this has been a long time coming, which is very true. I know you've been on the show before, but you have been one of the most highly requested guests that I've had. A lot of people have wanted you on for a long time.
Oh,
so
my
it
goodness.
has been a long time coming, but it's worth the wait. It's definitely worth the wait.
Well, I hope so.
He's asked. I have a somewhat silly question, but humour me, Dom. You're a fan of the Ace Attorney video game series. Yet again, I apologise. Straight
There's a
up my
poster right up there.
I know the meme. That's all I know. So with that said, which character from the Whoniverse, excluding the Doctor, would make the best lawyer?
Martha Jones. Absolutely.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Away. She would be a great lawyer. She'd be great.
And
She would
yeah, she'd
ruin
be
people.
absolutely amazing. She has got the charisma, the drive for it. And you know what else? She played a barrister in Law and Order UK, Freema Agyeman did, and she was phenomenal in that. And I would think that if that is a taste of what Martha Jones would be like, either as a defence or a prosecutor, then my God, anybody on the opposite side, you would be destroyed.
Yes.
So yeah, final answer, Martha Jones.
But great answer. Great answer. I also agree with that. I think I could see as a slightly unorthodox lawyer, but I think the passion of Joe Grant in a courtroom, I could see that working.
I could see that working. She would find a way to win. She would find a way. By God,
taking on a big corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I can see that. I can definitely see
A
that.
real
So there you go,
Erin
Ben.
Brockovich story.
Oh yeah, definitely. Next question is from Jack Alexander, very good friend of the show again, and awful.
Hey, Jack.
_awful_ Jack. Hello, Jack. Obviously, the host of an awful lot of running podcasts, which I believe we've both been on.
Yes. Great time.
So
He's a great host.
Great time. His first question. Oh, this is going to make me. It's a great podcast. Go and listen to it. I'm saying that before I change my mind after this first question. Joke question. Other than this brilliant pod, what other awful pods have you loved appearing on? Jack, you can't do yourself dirty like that. It's a great pod.
It's a great pod. Now, I would say an awful lot of running. It was a great podcast. It was a lot of fun. There you go.
Go and listen to it after listening to this, of course. Genuine question, and I love this. I feel like we've had similar questions to this before, and they're always my favourites. In an all-out multi-doctor fist fight, who, in your opinion, comes out on top? In my opinion, I think there is a correct answer to this. So I think there is a definitive answer.
I think there is.
One of two. One of three.
I'm going to say, well,
you go.
Pertwee.
It's got to be Pertwee.
Yeah.
I think by the end of it, I think you're going to be left with... If I had to whittle it down to a final four, I reckon it'd be, I think, Jo Martin.
Yeah,
I think she'd hold her own. I think Chris.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Peter. Definitely. And Pertwee. And then Pertwee will, excuse my language, beat the living shit out of the other thing.
Yeah, that's true. I can't see that going any other way. Pertwee is the fighter. He is the hand-to-hand expert, and I'm sorry, but they can try and come close, but they can't. They can't take him.
I mean, who's first? Who's first to go, do you think?
First to go, I mean, will probably be, well, if we're going by their ages at the time of the episode, probably poor old Hartnell.
No, that's horrible. I'm now just imagining all of the other doctors just pummeling Hartnell.
How many times do you have to teach you this lesson, old man?
That's terrible. That's terrible. Just, I mean, I feel like some people in their heads already have some kind of image of Jodie Whittaker battering William Hartnell. Some people who watch strange Doctor Who videos, not my doctors. I think that's what people imagine in their heads when they think of Jodie Whittaker, which is daft.
No, we can't have that.
No, we can't. But I mean, you're the one who said it'd go first.
I know I did that, but I wasn't expecting a scenario where we have Jodie Whittaker bounding up to William Hartnell like a certain Oscar event. Just suddenly goes.
Get the Doctor's name out your fucking mouth. Anyway, we'll move on from this strange tangent. Yeah, it's definitely Pertwee. It's got to be. If you've seen Day of the Daleks, that bit where he's just... is he drinking a glass of wine when he karate chops some grunt to the floor? Just cool as and hard as nails. Thank you, Jack, for that question, because that led us on a tangent. Next one, Cal. At generic_tweeting. Very good friend of the show. Hello, Cal. He said, weirdly, this was harder to come up with a question than expected. But he's come up with a very good one, I must say. With a second series of Doctor Who Remnants confirmed, as we discussed earlier, do you think your experience with Big Finish has changed your approach to producing the series?
Yes, it has, actually. But only in the way that I am reducing my writing, my writing role in the series, but I'm using it as an outlet for other creators to put their own stories into it, stories across, because that's really my role as a producer in Big Finish as well, is grabbing writers along and guide them towards the end point. But that, it's affected me with Remnants as well, because I love the aspect of guiding writers towards a potential idea and helping steer them in that direction and helping them put content out under the umbrella of, well, it will be Doctor Who Remnants. And yeah, it's sort of just something like, because I want to conserve on my own writing energy for bits and pieces that I'm working with the current project that I'm working on, the current secret fan project that I'm working on. So I just want to give other people like opportunities, I guess, both like professionally and amateur. So that's it's kind of giving me a new mindset to the whole thing.
Yeah, great. That's it's really nice, and I think it's great that because I mean it's a similar approach that I'm trying to take with the Peculiar Adventures that I'm obviously working on at the minute. Is obviously, though I'm not an experienced writer by any means, obviously I'm creating this project. And I just want to try and get as many people involved as possible, because it's also, I think it's quite fun to sort of share the journey as well.
Exactly. And I've heard a lot of good things from Jude about it, so trust me, I think what you're doing is great.
Good.
So,
I'm glad.
I know everybody, when it comes out, everybody's going to love it, so you have nothing to worry about.
Yes, it's a long time coming. It is, and it will, fingers crossed, be here soon. But you know, we're working on it. But I think that's a great way to approach it, and I think it's really nice for anyone who, because it's like you said, I think putting yourself out there creatively is quite a daunting thing to do sometimes.
It takes a lot of courage.
It does.
It really does.
It definitely does. And I think having someone like yourself who is obviously quite experienced with that kind of thing, and obviously you're now doing it in a professional capacity as well, sort of help people get into that kind of thing and get comfortable with it, and sort of be like use the formula of Doctor Who Remnants to push their work out there, rather than trying to go out on their own, because it can feel very daunting and scary.
Yeah,
I think that's a really nice way of doing it. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to hear series 2 and hear these new voices and these new writers, because I love hearing stories from creators, fan creators and all this.
Yes.
I love hearing it. Look, we've got a few more questions. Let's fly through some.
Okay.
So, Philip Hawkins.
Hey, Phil.
Hello, Phil. Obviously, as you said, a bit of history there with the quiz. So, I hope.
Oh, no, I love him.
He's
He's great. No. I love Phil. He's cool. He's great.
Yes,
I love him.
Great YouTuber, as
absolutely.
I've said a million times on the pod, at Culture Filter on Twitter. He's asked, who outside of the Doctor Who universe have you not yet cosplayed but would like to?
Outside of the Doctor Who universe?
Outside of it, yeah.
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I mean, there is a lot of... I've got a fairly large list of characters outside Doctor Who that I want to cosplay, but I guess my current my current life goal is to cosplay Batman Beyond, so Terry McGinnis's Batman from the animated series.
That would be very cool.
He is so cool. I mean, I would love to do regular Bruce Wayne Batman, but something about Terry is just... That suit is just like the coolest thing to me. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
It's quite hard to translate. I mean, if it's the suit that I'm thinking of, I'm not as
the one with the mouth.
The Batman animated. Yeah, so that's a very difficult suit to translate to cosplay, I imagine.
Some people have pulled it off, bizarrely enough, and I hope I can give it a go at some point when I'm more financially stable.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. We'd love to see it, definitely. And another cosplay question from dear friend of the show, Jamie, at Jamie_season7.
Hey, Jamie.
Hello, Jamie. He's asked, which is your favourite Doctor Who cosplay that you've done so far?
Season 18, 4th Doctor, 100%.
It's a great costume.
Yeah, I love it so much. And I'm very proud of it because I knitted the scarf myself. And my mother taught me how to knit and just kind of kept going from there. Did the scarf once, didn't think it was right, so I did it again. And I am very, very ecstatic with it. I love it. And it's just my favourite go-to outfit, really. And it goes with the hair, so it's fine.
It does, yeah. I mean, lovely. I mean, it's a great, like you said, great costume. And just a question from me as well. Obviously linked to Philip's and Jamie's, sort of a combination of the two. What Doctor Who cosplays have you not yet done that you would like to do in the future? Oh,
10th Doctor's blue suit. Absolutely. A blue suit, specifically as seen in Silence of the Library with the very dark red shirt and the Kenzo tie.
Look.
It's so cool. Yeah. That's a look that I've aspired towards trying to do for a very long time, and one day I'll hopefully do it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And that was bloody Twitter. Thank you everybody for your questions. We actually got through a stack of questions there, which is great.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to any, but there were loads. There were even more than that. So I'm sorry to anyone whose questions didn't get asked. Come back next week. Ask another. You might, maybe. I'll slap it in there. Who knows? So we're moving very swiftly towards the end of the show, which is a shame, because I'm having a great time. But again, it's the inevitability of what's coming. You all know where we're heading next. We've been to the shelf. We've been there, done that, got the DVD in there. This is a weird link. We've now moved through the back area, the dumpster fire of bloody Twitter, and now we've entered this beautiful corridor, a corridor adorned with framed image. I need to move this along. Adorned with framed images of the best, the brightest and the boldest of the history of Doctor Who. Don't worry, I'm getting there. It's the Corridor of Fame.
Have you ever been limited by who you were before?
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting
Yeah? Sarah J?
Do I have the right?
Some people's small, beautiful events is what life is all about. Unnecessary compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really
Every great decision creates ripples. Like a huge boulder dropped in a lake.
But it was a childish dream that made you a doctor. You dreamt you could no more.
I'm not just the time. I'm the last of the time.
It just disappears, doesn't it? Everything you are gone in a moment, like breath on a mirror.
I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent. And above all, it's kind.
Love abides in the face of everything.
So, hopefully, this segment will be a lot less painful than that tenuous link.
You did your best, and it conjured up a nice mental image.
I'm really tired.
I know. It's okay, lad.
I'm trying.
I know.
Sometimes. I'm 30 episodes in, and trying to find a different way of saying "is the Corridor of Fame" gets quite difficult. I need to write a load down and prepare them because I just end up rambling every single time. Come on, Josh. Anyway, the Corridor of Fame. The Corridor of Fame. We're there. Of course, it's basically a Hall of Fame for Doctor Who. It is a collection of wonderful people who have inspired or enamoured my guests in some way. And I think we've got a great variety of names in here so far. We've got producers, writers, directors, actors, costume designers, visual effects people. We've got all sorts, composers, everything, bit of everything. And we're going to get another one from Dom.
Oh, yes.
So please tell me who and why you would like to submit them to the Corridor of Fame.
Yeah. The person I chose, I feel, has made quite an exemplary amount of contributions to the show over the years. And their work is phenomenal, and they are a pretty phenomenal person as well. So, and being involved with, cosplay and everything, their work has been inspiring to me. So, I would like to add to the Corridor of Fame Mr. Ray Holman.
Great pick. A great pick. Another costume designer, which is great.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got the marvellous June Hudson already in here. And I think someone who's just as iconic, Ray Holman.
Yeah.
Obviously, his work has been... it's been on everyone's lips recently because the stuff that has come out over the past couple of years has been phenomenal. I mean, I can't, in my head, I'm trying to remember, when did Ray Holman join? How long's Ray Holman been working on the show?
So, Ray, he's been working on the show for quite some time, but he started off with the Whoniverse in Torchwood, I believe. So he worked on Torchwood. So he is the man who's responsible for creating the definitive look for Captain Jack Harkness. And as well as that, he stayed on for about 3 series on Torchwood, up to Children of Earth. But his work on Doctor Who primarily started with Series 5, but he was involved in Series 3 as well, because while the episodes, I believe, Blink and... what was the one before? It was another one of Series 3, but it was double bangs, basically. They were filming at the same time.
Yes.
Louise Page was occupied with the other episode, but... Ray did the costume design for Blink, and he did an exemplary job on that. And he also did the costume design for Turn Left, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is also really good. And
great
but his primary work on
design.
Doctor Who, his primary work on Doctor Who started with Series 5. and he was the man who came up with the overall look for the 11th Doctor, the Series 5, the scroll striped shirts, the tweed jacket, all him. And I believe that was an incredibly iconic design for that character that has been so resonated with loads of people. That has been like, it's an iconic look. It's a beautiful look that's extremely well designed, well detailed and everything, and is just sublime. The Series 5 version of the 11th Doctor's costume is, in my opinion, one of the best Doctor costumes that ever has been. But not just that, he also designed the costume for the 13th Doctor. And he was very responsible for all that, was with input from Jodie, but of course the designs of that era as well, which have all been really good. I mean, we just have to take one look at the Swarm and Azure costumes to know that it's just glorious. It's just an amazing style. But as well as that, Fugitive Doctor designed the costume for that, worked with Joe, and took a lot of inspiration from like Capaldi's costume, as well as involving kente cloth into her outfit. Bit of cultural stuff there, which is exceptionally good detail. And as well as that, he also helped evolve the costume of the 12th Doctor back in Series 9, because he was costume designer for that series. And he is the man who was responsible for introducing us to the glorious red velvet coat.
Oh, my favourite. I think it's probably one of my favourite Doctor looks. I just think whenever you put the Doctor in red, it works. No matter what. It does. Any Doctor. I mean, iconic looks. I mean, like, you only have to look. I don't know if this is a myth or not. It might be. But that whole thing of, apparently in 2010, the sale of bow ties, like it went up by 400% in the UK or something.
It's not a myth. I'm pretty sure it's not a myth.
I'm pretty sure that's true. That is insane. And like the influence that he's had on, like, that's transcended Doctor Who, and that's influencing fashion. It's like the whole early 2010s sort of geek chic kind of look.
I remember there were mannequins in Next around 2010, 2011. Mannequins in Next having a bow tie and the tweed jacket combination. Yeah. I remember that so vividly. People were, they were not necessarily like saying as a Doctor Who stuff, obviously, but they were doing it in the style because they knew it was popular. They knew that people wanted it, and people did want it. And there were so many people dressing up as the 11th Doctor that year. It's incredible. And it was such an easy outfit to get a hold of. It was just a jacket and a bow tie. It was very easy. Even easier than, say, the pinstripe suit for David, because that had so many different details. But with the tweed jacket, it's just a case of, these are the elements, feel free to take them. Yeah, and it's so such simple. A well-designed look. Yeah, and it's such a cool look.
I think, as well, it's lovely to see now that, you know, I think we got that beautiful picture that obviously some people were somehow negative about. Someone always tries. That beautiful picture at Comic-Con from earlier this year, where it's obviously the cosplay meetup, and Jodie sort of hijacks it in the background, which is great. But so many people, like men and women, and obviously non-binary people, or everyone in the 13th Doctor's costume. And it's just great. It's so great to see, and it's an iconic look, and it's such a different look for the Doctor. I think, obviously, I think for some people it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's obviously resonated with so many people. That rainbow stripe, the long coat, the boots, and just all of what I love about his work is all those subtle details, like stuff
it's
like
just
the
red
earrings.
and the earrings on 13's costume, the red button on Capaldi's Series 9 coats.
Exactly.
There are so many subtle things that he puts in that it just real attention to detail. That is a cosplayer's dream. That I just love those sorts of things. And he's just so talented. He's such an innovator. He's just got a brilliant brain for all of this. And he is a phenomenally talented person, and his influence on Doctor Who is forever gonna live on, because it is just so fully just it's captured the hearts of people, being able to have these iconic outfits, and when people think of the characters, they will think of those outfits, the characters wearing those outfits. Like, obviously, we have the Red Velvet Capaldi, of the Skull Stripe Series 5 Smith, and we've got the 13th Doctor. And the 13th Doctor's costume is something that I've seen so many people wear now, and it's so easily available as well, thankfully. And it's heartwarming to see so many people not just take the character to the heart, but also be so enamored with her, but to be able to want to wear those clothes as well. Yeah. And again, as we were saying, I want to say cosplay is for everyone, and you can cosplay whatever your heart desires. And it's all fun. It's all fun and games.
Yeah, it is. And I think just before we close this off, obviously a couple of things one thing that I wanted to mention in terms of that attention to detail, Capaldi's ring, like the incorporation of his wedding ring by making sort of half a ring that slots over the top, just so that he can still wear his wedding ring. It's a little personal, but really like light touches like that. Just genius. And I feel like we've also got to mention, obviously I know that a lot of work is also done in conjunction with the prosthetics departments and special effects, but those monster designs from the Chibnall era, I know that he's obviously had some input into Ashad, the Lone Cyberman, the new Sontaran design, the new Sea Devil look, which we're obviously going to see very soon. Oh yeah, that looks very cool. The Sea Devils, just such beautiful reimaginings of these classic monsters that it does something beautifully new with them and makes them look so sleek and so modern, and it makes them work for the new series. But also, it pays homage to what's come before and their origins. It's just beautiful. Great work. Ray Holman, we love you. An absolute legend of the game. And very, very fitting to put him in the corridor of fame. So great pick. Very, very good pick. Very, very happy with that. And with that, we've come pretty much to the end of the show. I have it's a shame. I feel like we could sit here and chat all night. But I have one final question for you. Oh yes. And I think for once, I think you know what's coming, which is I usually catch people off guard with this. So you've had a bit of time to prepare. No pressure.
Oh no.
In a sentence. And I'm not, you've had time to prepare, so I'm expecting a sentence. I'm joking. You can answer as long as you like. In a sentence-ish, what does Doctor Who mean to you?
I don't think my life would be anywhere as good, as productive, as creative, as social, and as enthralling as it has been if it wasn't for Doctor Who. It's given me a lot. There is a lot to thank this show for. And without Doctor Who, I don't think that I would be having anywhere near the experiences that I've had. And I can only thank it. It's perfect. It's been an incredible journey, and I have that show to thank for.
Well, I can only...
It's a little bit more than a sentence, sorry.
That is fine, because it was lovely, and I can only agree with that entirely. That I'm in a very similar position in that these experiences that I'm having at the moment are crazy, and I'm just over the moon, and it's all because of this daft little show. It's great, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
It's great what this strange little show can do. Well, that was an absolute pleasure. but for now, the floor is yours. Before we go, of course, I want you to plug away whatever you want to plug.
Okay.
And by God, there's a lot of it. Because
there is a fair bit.
You've got so much to plug, so go ahead. Take as much time as you need.
Okay. Question before I start. When do you think this will be coming out?
This will be out. Let me give you a date.
Okay.
This will be out on the 5th of April. Next week.
Cool. Awesome. I was just because certain dates for DW2012 coming up, I was just trying to check to which one would be cool.
Okay.
I can't say definitive stuff, so I'll give some hints. Right.
That's fine.
If you want to just cut that little bit out.
Yeah.
Right. So, first thing to plug would be my YouTube channel. I'm on a little bit of a sabbatical from doing videos at the moment because of work, but I will get into it at some point. So that is Who Chaser. After that is my Instagram page. That is at Dominus of Time. You can find me posting cosplays and stuff like that. I've got my TikTok page as well, which is at Dominic JGM, in which I do little speed quizzes on, which are quite fun. And as well as that, you can follow the at Dynamic Works 2012 Twitter page. No, that's the Instagram page. And the Twitter page is at DW2012. For further updates on Doctor Who Series 5, the fan film, which is going to be very soon, I have to say, because as of the time of recording, we are putting plans into motion. And it's going to be cool.
Exciting.
So keep an eye out. Things are coming. And for Doctor Who Remnant stuff is at DW Remnants on Instagram for updates on that when the Sirican series kicks back in. And finally for that, I would also like to say that the box set that I have produced for Big Finish, half produced I should say, the Companion Chronicles 2nd Doctor Volume 3 will be coming out in April this month.
We've barely even talked about it. We've not even mentioned it. We've missed that completely. Very, very exciting. So 2nd Doctor Companion Chronicles, I believe with Jamie and Zoe?
Jamie and Zoe, yes.
Very excited for that. Very excited because they are two of my favourite classic Who companions. So I'm
Honestly,
very excited to hear.
It's got some wonderful stories to come.
Yes, I'm very, very excited. Very excited to hear it. And of course, the podcast, Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast, is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever. You can subscribe, please, like, share, comment, rate us on whatever. We're still growing, and it really, really, really helps out. Other ways you can help the podcast, we've got a Patreon, in which you can get early access to pods when available. You can get early access to guest announcements. You can get a Who Knew badge if you want as well. You can get loads of stuff. And discount off the Who Knew merch store. So you can buy yourself a Who Knew t-shirt or a little mug if you like. They've even got hoodies and sweatshirts. So go and have a little look if you want to stick the lovely Who Knew logo on all of your garms. Other than that, on socials, you can find us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast. On Instagram at whoknewdwpod. You can email us whoknewdwpod@gmail.com if you've got any questions or anything like that. And we're also now on TikTok at Who Knew Podcast. I'll be posting clips and probably just doing some daft little Doctor Who videos along the way on there. So please give us a follow if you want to see that. And in terms of what's coming up, there'll be another episode next week. And so stay tuned on the socials to find out who is going to be on that episode. And yes, it's been an absolute pleasure. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Dom. Thank you for coming on for your second time round.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you for having me on.
It's been great. And thank you, everyone at home, for listening. And goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Big thank you to all of our patrons, and a massive shout out to Alfie Innes and Cal King. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.